Saturn is the planet in our chart that really represents maturity. It's the timekeeper. It comes around every once in a while just to make sure that we're on track. It is the part of us that is here to like mature and grow up. Usually, when it does come around, we are asked to like look at our stuff, step up, create some discipline, some set of rules for ourselves. Saturn wants structure, essentially. It's where we need
I
to
was just
take
thinking it's the
responsibility.
planet that the goddess put a ring on.
Yeah, it's like commitment, right? It's that
Yeah.
commitment. So we really do have to take like we really need to commit to it. And I think when we do commit to Saturn, amazing things happen because it really is our biggest lesson in this lifetime. And we're either really good at it or it's where we kind of like keep bumping up against life. And hopefully, with the bumping up against life, we learn to love it with that devotion and that dedication, that commitment. Every 7 years or so, transiting Saturn will kind of talk to our natal Saturn in our birth chart. So it's also the planet that is associated with the 7 year itch. So if you think about like that whole thing, the 7 year itch, so every 7 years or so, we get a little bit like, okay, do I want to keep committing to this thing? Do I need to realign with like put myself on a different track? Am I still going the way that I'm meant to be going, that I'm committed to be going? So we kind of need to recommit every 7 years or step into a new transition or a new part of the journey. This is the first episode of the Saturn Stories podcast. I'm so excited that you're the first guest, and I'm looking forward to talking with you about your Saturn cycles, your Saturn placement, everything Saturn. Yeah, how's it going? How about you introduce yourself for those who are listening? Just tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump in.
I'm Kris from Canada. I am a Scorpio. I have a Capricorn rising and a Leo moon. So I have everything but air in my chart.
So for you, Kris, your Saturn is in Cancer in the seventh house. So it is a water sign.
It opposes my ascendant.
It does. So it's right there on your descendant. It's pretty close. Um, so a lot of relationship stuff with the seventh house, that's kind of where Saturn expresses for you is in your relationships. And with the sign of Cancer being a water sign, a cardinal water sign, this is a lot about wounds from childhood, possibly being called to nurture yourself first, which is a little bit confusing because it's in the seventh house too. So we'll probably get into a bit of that as well. Also, like letting go of the past, but also holding on to the things that are important to you and really building that legacy from a place of emotional maturity. So it might not look traditional, but you make it the way that feels good to you. So I wonder if you feel that in your life, like those lessons
Mhm.
that you're called towards with relationships and with your
Oh, yeah.
emotional body. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I always kind of start out by when I think about Cancer as well, is that people that show up in my chart in the seventh house in the sign of Cancer, both my dad and my mom's mom
Mm,
were born in the sign of Cancer. That's their sun signs. And I was always considered like a daddy's girl when I was really little. And then because of our family kind of busting open after my first Saturn Square, yeah, I still have, I say I have daddy issues that play out
mhm,
in any relationships that I have with men. And then my mom having an Aries sun, so finding her in my fourth house with like Chiron sitting right on top of her, ouch.
mhm,
I was left under the care of her mom a lot growing up.
mhm.
So my mom's mom, my grandma, became like one of my biggest champions.
And I wonder if I can ask you too around, because you mentioned the first Saturn Square, so that would have been around 1981, 82-ish. Can you tell us a little bit about like what was going
From
on
what I
around that?
remember.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so when the first Saturn Square in Aries started, I would have been in grade one. And from what I remember, um, we had just moved into a new house, and my mom put her foot down against my dad's wishes and said, I'm going back to work. And so she got a job, a full-time job, and my sister and I became the 80s latchkey kids, right? Like really
Mm,
young. We had our own keys. We let ourselves in after school. Their dynamic changed. And so, of course, that changed the family dynamic. And we only lived in that house for 3 or 4 years. And it was like our dream house. We had everything. We had this beautiful life, or so we thought, by all
mhm,
appearances. But my parents were not getting along. I vaguely remember them fighting, but they did finally split up in the summer of 83. So it would have been after that transit for me. But I
mhm.
think the conflict was happening. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, for me personally, I was 6, 7 years old, right? So,
Mhm.
I mean, I could come up with like childhood scuffles that I had and things like that. But for me, it was more like I think that there was a story that was going on with the adults in my life, especially like it was Saturn and Aries, and my mom is an Aries, so maybe something was going on with her chart, and then everything blew up in 83. So,
Yeah, and I think sometimes as kids too, like with these dates, it's like I don't usually talk about these dates in a reading because they are like we're kids. We don't really know what's going on. We're just kind of sensing, but I would imagine you too with Saturn and Cancer and with all your
yeah,
water, like that Scorpio energy as well. You're very sensitive to the energies that are going on. So even if you can't like logically conceptualize what's going on, you read the room. You can feel the energy in the room. And I think like with the tension also like we internalize some of that, and as children we are very like egocentric in a way where it's like, okay, is there something that I can maybe like what's going
I
on here?
really I think that was when I really learned how to isolate myself, which is what I still do today. I was in my room isolating, get away from me, you're all insane. I'm going to just lose myself in these storybooks. I think I really
Yeah.
learned how to do it at that time. And I didn't actually put that together until right now. So thank you.
Mm, yeah. And I think like with a lot of water and with Saturn in a water sign as well, we learn to kind of escape from the situation. The water signs are very good at like it's very sensitive. So there is this tendency with a lot of water in the chart to want to like get out of the body or get out of the experience, get out of the feelings because they can be so overwhelming that it just hurts. It hurts and we can't stay in the body. So I would imagine for you, like that was your kind of your way to escape the tension that was going on around that time was
I
to
think
lose
so.
yourself in a book, in a story.
Yeah. And I think maybe at that time is when I really started to kind of detach from the idea of being part of this family unit. And I
Mm,
think we were all just kind of going in our individual directions. And we
yeah.
weren't going to move through this together. I think it was really
Mhm.
evident at that time that we were all dealing with these things in our own ways, and we weren't able to come together as a cohesive unit.
Yeah, that's big for
Yeah,
a 7-year-old, right? Like
I
that's
guess so.
it's tough. And it's tough to, especially with Saturn and Cancer, like Cancer is the home, the family. It is that, and Saturn being the structure. It's like the structures of your home and your family were kind of crumbling.
Yeah. Well, I always blamed Saturn for that, though. I mean, having Saturn in my seventh house.
One thing with Saturn in Cancer as well, like it's very easy to be angry at Saturn. It's like, and that's kind of why I wanted to have these conversations, is because I think Saturn always gets, not always, but often gets a bad reputation. And it's like, oh, Saturn, he's here again. But I'm hoping that we can kind of like get to know him because I think that's one of the big things with Saturn is like, okay, when we spend time with it, it's hard, especially with Saturn in a water sign. It's like it hurts. There's deep like it's deep, right? Like those formative years and like what was going on, like it lives inside of us. And Saturn, like when we stay in that place, it kind of it holds us, kind of like what you're explaining, right? It's just like you're inside of this little container and it's like I just don't want to be in here anymore. Like how do I get out? And I think like
Yeah.
Saturn in Cancer, it's very good at the ideal situation is that we can heal from our childhood. We can let go of things as well. We can let the emotions flow because with the water sign, like when they get stuck, that's when we can
Yeah.
build up those
Well, I'm
resentments
I'm
and
thinking about the crab, right? The
yeah.
sign of Cancer is the crab, and they're when they're in the shell, and then when they outgrow their shell, aren't they the ones that can walk out of their shell and move into another one?
Yeah. So there's
And
the
there's
hermit
all
crabs
these
that can do that. And then the other crabs, they molt their shell completely. So then they're just like blubbery
right.
and out there and vulnerable. Like there's a vulnerability to
I
not
have
having your home
certainly
on
felt
you.
that, yeah, I have certainly felt that way. I mean, that'll come up when we get into my Saturn return. So
Yeah. Well, do you want to jump
homeless and
into it?
blubbery.
Yeah.
Then I had an opposition. Saturn moved into
Nice.
Capricorn from 88 to 91. So I would have just been starting high school,
Oh, yeah.
creating a
More
whole new
formative years.
identity.
And especially with your first house, like it would have been in your first house, that identity piece, right?
And I left my mom's house to go live with my dad.
Wow.
So there's that move. I just put that
So,
together, right? That movement. Like I left my mom's and I never lived with my mom again. Then I got to reinvent myself in a new high school with a new group
mhm.
of friends. Um, like completely like and I went through all these different like, fashionable images and then we had the next square, which was Aries. So that would have been from 96 to 98. As we were getting started, I had a question about the Saturn
Yeah.
transit, right? It's like a 2-year transit. So when we talk about our Saturn transit in our chart, are we talking about that whole 2 years or are we just talking about when it goes exact?
Okay, I love this question, and I think a lot of people have this question because
Yeah,
Saturn is so influential. Oftentimes, as soon as Saturn goes into that sign, we'll feel a shift. Especially, I find around the Saturn return. Like, I remember my Saturn return, the very first day that Saturn went into Aquarius, I felt it. There was a shift. But I think a lot of times, when it's more exact, we'll feel it more like it'll kind of pinpoint. And if we look back to those exact dates, we may see the themes coming back around. But I think I kind of feel like the energy just encapsulates us as soon as Saturn goes into that sign. We can feel something's coming, maybe. We don't exactly know what it is. We may start to feel these influences of Saturn and we're like, okay, something's changing, but I'm not quite sure like what this is. And then as it gets closer to the exact degree of our natal Saturn, that's when it usually kind of ramps up. And I think there's also that period afterwards where it's still in the same sign, but not exact
it's
to our
not as
natal
intense.
Saturn. Yeah. And I think that's kind of
Yeah.
the wrap up period where it's like, okay, we just went through this really big thing. Now we got to integrate it a little bit. So I kind of see it in three different parts. It's like the beginning, we kind of feel it coming when it's exact, and it might retrograde back and forth over that exact point as well. So we may get a couple hits of like, oh my gosh, like what is going on? And then after it's like,
Yeah.
okay, now I need to kind of integrate those lessons that I just went through and like, what the heck does it mean? What am I going to do with this now?
Because
Yeah.
what I have next is a Saturn and Aries square from 96 to 98.
Yeah. And I
And
have that it was exact in June 97, and then again in
okay,
September 97, and then March
okay,
1998. So this would have been your
okay.
closing square in Aries.
Yeah. So all around that time, I that was when I started going out with my son's father. We moved into
Hmm.
a punk house. My Capricorn ascendant like died the day we moved in because I was just like, oh my God, like now I get to be mom to a whole house full of people that didn't want to work and they just wanted to like party. And
Oh my gosh, talk about a Saturn and Cancer lesson. It's like now I gotta be mom.
I was the only one that had good enough credit to put to get hydro, gas, like all the utilities, the phone, like everything that we had to like pay up front for and have good credit for. It was all in my name.
Wow.
And I had 2 jobs. I was going to school, starting school in September. Like I was working my butt off. And so I spent every month walking around with my hand out asking for bill money. Like, hey, hydro bill just came in, you owe me 57.50. and people going, "Yeah, I'll get you back on payday," and it never happening. So then I
Mm.
was working more hours to pay these bills because I was afraid of ruining my credit. And yeah, that would have been that square was like, why did I leave this really sweet apartment on Queen Street West that I had with a pretty cool hands-off responsible roommate to move
Hmm.
into this chaos house?
In between Aries and Cancer, it's like my independence Aries, and now I'm the mom Cancer. Right? It's just like this, there's this tension. It's like, why did I do that? I had this beautiful
It seemed like a
situation.
fun yeah, it seemed like a good idea because I was like, "Oh, well, these are my friends, and this is my
Hmm.
boyfriend, and this is gonna be fun," but I forgot that, like, fun for a lot of people isn't fun for me. Staying up
Hmm.
all night, partying all night, that was never my thing,
Yeah.
and the beautiful thing about going to those parties was I could go home and be home
Hmm.
alone and isolate myself again. Well, all of a sudden I was in this house, I couldn't isolate myself. And
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's a good
so
point. The Saturn
mhm,
lesson, it's like Saturn often does also teach us a lot about ourselves, especially during those years of like our 20s, so the 21 and then coming out to our Saturn return as well. It's like we don't really know ourselves at that point. So I also want to give a little love to that version of Kris too, who just did not know what she needed or wanted. Or it's like, like Saturn and Cancer, it's like, I just want to be loved. I want to have a home. I want to feel at home. And I don't know exactly
yeah,
what that looks like, but this sounds fun. And this
but
is
it's
going to be
not
the
these
thing.
people.
Yeah. And I'm sure you quickly realize that, okay, this is not what I want.
I didn't even last a year. I didn't even last a
Mm,
year. We moved in August, and I think I was gone by April.
wow.
And I just moved out, and everybody was like, "What about the bills?" And I was
Yeah,
like,
where's mom?
I decided I needed to get a degree
Hmm.
because if I didn't get a degree, that I was going to be a cashier at the liquor store for the rest of my life.
Hmm.
And then I would die a very early death.
Yeah. So there's this
So for
sense of
me, it was,
responsibility again. It's like, okay, I need to take responsibility for my situation. I need to get my own place. I need to go back to school and I need to like get ready for the rest of my life. That's very Saturn. It's like, okay, what are you going to do about this situation? How are you going to like grow up a little bit? How are you going to take that responsibility? And it sounds like you
yeah,
did that in a very beautiful way. For those listening, the Saturn return is usually that really big one. That's like, okay, something really big happens. Oftentimes people
yeah,
will get married or buy a house or have a kid or like move away or do something that really like separates the first cycle of Saturn. So those first 28 to 30 years of life. And then we're moving into this new cycle of like, okay, how am I moving forward in my life for the next 30 years? So for you, Kris, what was going on around your Saturn return in Cancer?
was it any specific month, do you remember? Or
July was the big.
July 2004? So around that time, so that would have been just before my 30th birthday. I was under the care of a doctor in Toronto, and I was going back and forth. I was working in an office that I absolutely hated. Like I'd been there since November 2003. Um, and I think I had already gone on like a sick leave because I was just like, but my doctor in Toronto, pretty sure it was July 2004. Oh, I got my first tattoo,
Oh,
July
nice.
2004, my lotus flower. I'm sure it was that same summer that she said that she thought I had Asperger's, which we now know
Mm.
as high functioning autism, which even now isn't the correct terminology, but it's like I'm on the spectrum. And she was like, "I think you have Asperger's." And I'd been under her care for like 12 years by this point. So this was like, what?
Wow.
She had been treating me for depression and general anxiety. I think I went on medication, antidepressants around that time.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was just really lost, like really lost, really lonely. So by the time my 30th birthday came around, which was November 2004, I was like a shell of what I had been 2 years before. Like
Mm.
I didn't even know who I was anymore, and I was a mess.
And then was there a point where you kind of like hit like a rock
At the
bottom?
bottom,
Or like what was the
um,
catalyst to maybe, was there a shift that came after that?
I was in bed a lot that summer, like very
Mm-hmm.
sick. I was getting B12 injections and iron injections into my butt because I wasn't eating. It was a few months later, and maybe because I was on medication, I was starting to feel better. I'm not quite sure. But there was that tsunami in
Mm-hmm.
Thailand, and the news came on the radio, and I was like distraught. Like I was like, I have to get there to help people. I really want to go and
Mm-hmm.
help people. Um, and so I went back to my workplace, and one of the departments had a year abroad in Thailand, and I signed up for it to go
Mm-hmm.
the following September. So by then the Saturn return might have been finished.
Yeah.
But by like July 2005, I had given a leave of absence on my job. I had cleaned out my apartment. I'd given notice on my apartment, and then I got pregnant. So,
Wow. So just to kind of recap, I'm hearing a lot of like Saturn and Cancer themes. It's like, okay, the sensitivities, the addiction, the Asperger's, the depression as well. So it sounds like it was a
mm,
very emotional time, and you described it as feeling like you were the shell of yourself, right? It was like,
mhm.
and I just go back to the crab again too, where it's just
Oh
like the
yeah.
shell, right? Like I'm just the shell and the meat
Wow.
is like not even inside of me. Like what's going
Yeah.
on, right? And
Well, and
then,
it's a funny thing about those shells because normally there's only one creature living in them. You don't fit a family of crabs under one shell.
right? We each
They're
have our
always
own
in their
shell.
own house. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I've just always felt that way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. And then when you applied to go to Thailand, like how did that transpire after? Like how did you feel actually at that time? Because before you had mentioned you had felt like the shell of yourself. You didn't really know yourself or like how you were feeling. And then after, like how did it feel?
Yeah.
If we can
I felt
contrast it.
like it just kind of felt like things were going to start to click into place for me. Like it felt like the right thing to do. It felt like, I'd always wanted to do a year abroad. I did a degree in international development. I was supposed to get a year abroad as part of my degree, but I never had the money to go. I always had to work. When I decided that I needed to go to Thailand, and even though it was like 8 months away, it was all I talked about. It was all I thought about. It was like I'm the kind of person, and this is probably my Capricorn ascendant, that when I decide that something is the right thing to do for me, I get like single-minded.
Mm.
Like, get out of my way. This is what I'm doing.
So I wonder, like, if you think about all of these Saturn themes, like all of these Saturn,
Yeah.
I know we didn't touch on all the dates, but I think like we have enough to kind of go through the theme. I wonder if you can pick out something that maybe Saturn was trying to teach you, or like a common thing that came up throughout all of the cycles of Saturn. Is there anything that stands out for you?
Knowing where my home
Hmm.
is everything, and not making my home in other people,
Hmm. Having
right?
your home and not making your home in other people. Yeah, like having your own shell.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if it is isolating, um, I have tried to make my home in other people too many times,
Mm.
and it's never worked. It's
Yeah.
just never worked out.
And I wonder if you're
But
open, if I could offer something that may be helpful, maybe not.
yeah, well, I just was going to flip it around and say every time
Yeah.
I've made a home for myself by myself, it's worked out.
Mm.
So I have that. I have been homeless a couple of times. That's usually because I was relying on someone else.
Yeah.
When I rely on me and I make it happen, I make it happen. So. Anyways,
And what does
and
that
I'd
look
love
like,
to
that
hear.
working out? Yeah. I'm just curious to see like what the picture of it working out looks like for you. Like what did that look like when you're like, "Oh, this finally worked out." Like what do you feel? What do
Yeah.
you see?
Well, I bought myself a house for my 40th birthday.
Amazing.
So it's been almost 11 years. It's the longest I've ever lived in one place. And then finally, I just managed to put all the pieces together, and it was work. It wasn't like it happened overnight. I didn't inherit any money, like nothing. It was just
Yeah.
I, everything fell into place, and we ended up here. And it was supposed to be for 5 years. And I was like, oh, well, I'll buy this house and we'll live here for 5 years and then I'll sell it and we'll buy a bigger house, a better house in a better neighborhood. And then the market changed. Bigger, better house never happened. We're still here. So that little crab shell, it fits now.
Yeah.
Like we're not outgrowing it. I was planning on outgrowing it and moving elsewhere, but the world around me said, nah, you know what? This is it. This is where you're going to live.
Yeah.
So the
And
house
I
will be
think
paid
that's
off in five
beautiful.
years.
That's amazing because I wonder too if like that feeling of like, okay, in 5 years we'll sell it and then we'll move somewhere else. Like that seems to be part of your theme too, your Saturn theme, where it's like we keep moving. We don't have those roots. We're not like sinking in and making a home, building a family like with those roots. So this is you kind of switching that script too, where it's like, okay, I can build a home, I can build roots, and I can have
Mhm.
like my own shell, my own home.
I look at the real estate website at least twice a week, trying to
Hmm.
get out of here, and I just can't. It's just not gonna click in place the way it did in 2014.
Yeah, and maybe it will. Maybe it will. But the thing that I wanted to offer you too, like just thinking about your Saturn in the seventh house of relationships, of partnership, and with Cancer being so like back to the crab. I love this analogy. It just fits so well. Like when the crab does get rid of its shell, it's molting, or the hermit crab is kind of like searching for a bigger shell. It's very vulnerable. So with like this placement, Saturn and Cancer in the seventh house, I think like one of the big lessons is building your ability to trust other people by strengthening that judgment of character. So using your sensitivities to your advantage, where like you're very intuitive, Kris, and I'm sure like you probably have moments where you're like, this doesn't feel right, or like maybe I shouldn't commit to this. I wonder if like that has ever come up in any of those situations where you're like, no, I'm going to double down. I'm going to be the mom. I'm going to take care of everyone. I'm sure there is this maybe little ping. It might be very quiet, but you're very intuitive and your gut has your
I
back.
get physically sick every time I'm in a relationship because I give so much. Like the last time I lived with someone, which was before I bought this house, my hair was falling out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like that
And
opposition to your ascendant, your body. Like your body literally is falling apart. Uh, I wonder if maybe you'll take this where it's just like you can't fit more than one person in this shell. It's like this is my shell. This is my body. My body's my home. I need to take care of it first. I need to like, it's when your body is telling you these signals or showing you these things, and I think sometimes Saturn in the seventh house can either like swear off relationships because it's like I don't want to go through that hurt again, that feeling of whether it's like abandonment or whatever that was from the childhood, right? And that tension in your household, or it can like choose people that kind of recreate that cycle. It would be a shame if you closed off your heart because you have so much to give. You have so much love to give. And I know like the way that you've been giving it doesn't feel good. So I think it's like finding a way to give it where it feels good. It's like opening your heart to those that you trust, making sure that they earn your trust first because you do care so much. Like that Cancer, Saturn in Cancer cares so much. It's like, I just want to take care of you. I want to nourish you. I want to nurture you. But we need to make sure that it's with a person who is also taking care of you or like reciprocating or trustworthy, all of these qualities that you find attractive in a person. And I think like thinking about Saturn in the seventh house and with Cancer, we may attract people who embody those low road Cancer qualities, like not being able, not emotionally mature, not being able to take care of themselves, like looking for a mom. So really being aware of like when someone comes into your life who is looking for a mom rather than a partner, I think is also something to keep in mind because
They're looking
it's,
for a mom, and then they resent the person that acts like their mom.
yeah.
So but it's funny because you said reciprocal, and it's funny because that's a word that's come up for me even just today. I was thinking a lot about reciprocity, even just in friendships, right? Like
Wow.
I just feel like I don't have a lot to give right now. Like I know I
Hmm.
do inside, but like on the surface, I'm just tired
Yeah.
and I'm not giving very much.
And maybe this
So
is a
I'm trying
time where
not to
you give
take
to
very
yourself.
much. Hmm.
And maybe it is a
Yeah.
time where like you need to give to yourself or like reach out for support too. And maybe this is your opportunity to take for a little while, right? Like there's no shame in needing support and taking when you need it because
Hmm.
you do need to fill yourself up in order to be in a place where yeah, where it feels good to be in partnership. Like we don't need to force it. We don't need to jump from isolation into marriage. It's like, how can we just slowly build up my own shell first and feel strong and feel like, okay, I am strong. Like, how do I get to this place and keep the boundaries in a place where I don't let myself like fall away in order for another person to shine. We need to find the balance.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky for me because I have all those codependent tendencies.
Yeah.
So
I think
that's,
boundaries is definitely a big thing.
yeah, for
I
sure.
wonder, this will be the last question. I'm just curious to hear from you. Like, if you could go back to your younger self, like thinking about the times that we've talked about, what would you tell
Yeah.
her now?
I would say stop focusing on other people and stop trying to find the one because I am the one. I wish I could just stop Kris at like when did it start? When I was like 18, I think is when it started. And
Hmm.
just say, like, just don't try so hard. Just, you know, work and make the money and go to school, but don't move in with that guy, right?
Mm,
But then if I hadn't have moved in with one of them, I wouldn't have my kid. So
yeah.
I don't want to undo everything, but and that's the tricky part, is how much would you undo knowing that it would undo everything?
And I think
But part of me,
that's just a beautiful testament to Saturn as well. It's like, I don't want to undo these things. I've learned so much from it. I've gained so many gifts from it. I've gained gifts from these times in my life. Yes, they were challenging. Yes, I look back and think like I would tell her not to do these things, but also some of the greatest gifts of your life probably came out of those times, right? So I think like that's one
yeah,
thing I really love about Saturn is just the it's fucking hard, excuse my language, but it's so
it is.
beautiful. It's just like it's life, right? It's real life. The gifts, it's like the seeds we sow, whether some of them are bad seeds, some of them are really beautiful seeds that continue to give us fruit. Well,
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
maybe I wouldn't change anything. Maybe I wouldn't go back and tell her anything.
Hmm,
Maybe I'd let it go exactly the way it happened. I have to think about that.
yeah, I'd be curious to hear. I do love that though. It's like just it what I heard is like take care of yourself. Just take care of
Hmm.
yourself, Kris. It's like maybe like feel how it feels before you jump into this thing.
I'll
It's
love bomb
amazing.
myself.
Yes. I love it. Just like that self-nurturing, I think that's like when we nurture ourselves, we're less susceptible to things like that. And it sounds like this next cycle, and I know your next Saturn cycle is coming up in a couple of years, and
Yeah.
you haven't the closing square coming. So the
Okay.
next it's when the Saturn's in Aries, which it is right now. So when it's closer to the 18-degree mark. You might be even feeling it now. You're probably feeling a little bit of it like we were talking about, like Saturn coming into that sign. So it'll
That
be
could
interesting
explain
to
why I'm
see.
looking at the real estate website so much.
Yes.
I just want to get out of here.
You'll have to
Ah!
touch back in a couple of years when your next Saturn square is up and see
Yeah.
how.
See if I'm still here or
Yeah.
if I've run away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kris.
Yeah, good to talk to you.
Yeah, you too.
See you next time.
See ya.